Well, hey there, New Life. Pastor Kevin here, and just wanted to make a quick video to share a couple things about this upcoming Sunday at church. As you've heard, this Sunday is our fall kickoff weekend, and there's a lot that's going to entail. Stick around after church on Sunday for lunch to hear more. But what I wanted to share now was about a couple things that'll happen during the worship service. And so the first thing is that we are beginning our new sermon series this Sunday, and it's called By Faith. And it traces through Hebrews chapter 11. And if you've never read that chapter, I encourage you to check it out, because in Hebrews 11, what we have is an outline of all these Old Testament characters and how they lived by faith in their day and age, in their time, and their circumstances. And you'll read verses in that chapter that say, by faith, Abel did this or that. By faith, Abraham did this. By faith, Moses. By faith, Rahab, and so on and so forth. There's many Old Testament characters and stories that are referenced in Hebrews 11. And so each week what we're going to do is we're going to check out a verse or two from Hebrews 11, see where in the Old Testament that takes us, read a story from there, and learn how this Old Testament character lived by faith. Connect our faith to their faith, but ultimately what we always want to be doing is connecting this Old Testament character, our faith, to Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. And so I'm excited to begin this sermon series. It's particularly relevant right now. I mean, faith is always relevant, but it's particularly relevant right now because we've never been more aware of how uncertain life can be. I thought that by now the pandemic would totally be behind us. Now people aren't so sure. And so our world is uncertain right now. Our country is uncertain right now. Our church life is uncertain right now. And so it's probably never been a better time to consider what it means to live by faith. Second thing that you'll notice this Sunday is that there's going to be a few minor changes to our liturgy. Nothing major, nothing huge, but some changes that you will likely notice, because that's the nature of liturgy. A liturgy is a rhythm, it's a habit that we get into, and it's meant to form us. And like any habit, like any rhythm, whenever you make adjustments or changes, you notice. You used to not have to give it a second thought, now you may have to give it a second thought for a little bit. And so why these changes? Just a couple reasons. One, now is a good time to make a few tweaks to our worship service because we just had an entire sermon series on the shape of our worship service. And so you have categories, you have context, you have vocabulary for what's happening with some of these tweaks in the liturgy. And so hopefully, whenever you notice a change, you can quickly tie it back to a previous sermon that we had and understand why that change maybe was made. But also, our church has gone through a transition from 2 pastors to 1 pastor, and I happen to be that one pastor. And so I've made a couple changes to the liturgy. One, just to make leading the worship service a little bit more manageable for me. I am finite. I only have so much time. And so I've made a couple changes to just make my weekly preparation a little bit more manageable. But second, and more importantly, some of the changes I've made are just because I am who I am. God has made me with certain passions or certain emphases that I love to bring out in a worship service. And so I've made a couple tweaks to do that. And so you'll notice things like the doxology is in a different place. Communion will feel much more emphasized and set apart. As I mentioned, that is my favorite part of the worship service. Don't know if pastors should have favorite parts, but that's mine. So little things like that you'll notice, and don't be thrown off, don't get discouraged, don't be caught off guard if it feels a little bit weird maybe the first couple times. That's normal. That's what happens whenever you change habits or rhythms in your life. But in the midst of maybe feeling a little bit different, I encourage you to lean into it, to connect it to the gospel shape of the entire service. And my prayer is that you would soon grow to love the tweaks and changes to the liturgy, because ultimately what I want is for you to grow to love the Lord more and more through our worship service. And so that's what's coming up. I'm looking forward to this fall kickoff Sunday with you and beginning our new sermon series and a couple tweaks to our liturgy. Hope you are too. I'll see you this Sunday.